Okay, now I'm going to admit Yishel.
Okay. Claire, we're gonna exit. Okay.
Bye,
Thank
Claire.
you. Hi, Yishel. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks. Yes, we're
Welcome. Okay, you can go ahead and share your screen. And just gonna go over a couple of logistics. So we are recording this session. You have 12 minutes to deliver your pitch. At 11 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm going to spotlight myself just to flag that the time is almost up, and then we'll have 6 minutes for questions. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Beautiful. Go ahead and start when you're ready.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Yishel Khan, and I'm the founder of DOT. I have almost a decade of experience in working with healthcare organizations, specifically catering to children with mental disabilities. I've seen children being misdiagnosed and as a result suffer the side effects of strong medication. I've seen parents struggling to navigate through the healthcare systems to find the right treatment for their child. The healthcare system is broken. And in fact, there's a global problem of mental disorders being grouped together, diagnosed using generic questionnaires and checklists. It just doesn't work. To address this issue, my team and I at DOT have developed a wearable headset that reads brainwave activity and provides diagnosis and therapy for different mental disorders. We are on a mission to help 1 billion individuals facing mental health issues, starting with the condition of attention deficiency hyperactive disorder. So while serving families with ADHD, I met Jacqueline. Jacqueline realized there's something wrong with her son at a very young age. She was embarrassed to take him into public. She started getting complaints from teachers, and that's when she decided to get him tested for ADHD. Navigating through the healthcare system took another 2 years before receiving a confirmed diagnosis. It took several more years to find the right treatment. Michael, on the other hand, started failing at school. He felt lonely and withdrawn. Medication didn't work for him, and as a result, he also developed other psychiatric problems. So let's take a look at some stats. Depression affects 5% of the entire global population, autism 8, ADHD affects 15% of the population worldwide. Similar to Michael, there's 1 billion individuals with ADHD, and this creates an economic burden of $5 trillion. Here in Canada, there's roughly 1.2 million children currently diagnosed with ADHD. Our primary goal in the first few years is to reach 15,000 of these children, translating to a service obtainable market of $18 million. The current status quo of diagnosing ADHD is based on this questionnaire on the left. It's subjective. Treatment is through trial and error of medication, some of which have horrific side effects: anxiety, psychosis, seizures. And keep in mind, these medications are being given to children under the age of 10, whose brains are still maturing and growing. The healthcare system is broken. It's error prone. Misdiagnosis is on the rise, medications have detrimental side effects, and the overall system is just inefficient. As you saw in the case of Michael, 5 precious years of his life were wasted before receiving a diagnosis. And that's where we come in, DOT. Our solution is accurate, affordable, and efficient. The diagnosis is based on your own EEG data. It's at a fraction of the current alternatives, and it's available within minutes. Our product combines both hardware and software. Using the headset, we read the individual's brainwave activity and run clinically established algorithms to form a diagnosis. This means there's blueprints in brainwave patterns for mental health conditions, and the headset only needs to be worn for under 5 minutes. We also provide therapy through interactive games that use a concept of neurofeedback to improve cognitive ability. Prior to launching, we have conducted preclinical research at various prestigious institutions like McGill and the Texas Medical Center. We tested our technology on over 1,000 individuals to develop our IP. We haven't just met the clinical benchmarks for diagnostic criteria, we exceed them with 97% specificity and over 90% in both accuracy and sensitivity. And as of our alpha launch overseas in 2019, we conducted over 300 child development assessments and consistently maintained our 92% diagnostic accuracy. We observed up to 87% improvement in child's cognitive skills as well. Our launch overseas was a strategic decision. We accessed clean, comprehensive patient data with minimal funds. And just for reference, this data would cost millions of dollars in North America. This access has not only enriched our algorithms, but also positioned us at a vantage point in the competitive landscape. And our contributions extend globally as we align with 6 of UN Sustainable Development Goals. We are dedicated to fostering global wellness and equality. We're providing immense value for healthcare systems as well as patients. For a physician, this means enhanced diagnostic accuracy, which means reduced misdiagnosis rates, leading to fewer readmissions. Increased patient throughput, which means physicians can now diagnose ADHD with confidence in less time, increasing patient throughput and allowing more children to be seen and treated. And this in the US directly ties to increased revenues for physicians. And finally, reduce wait times to see specialists. On the patient side, it means quicker diagnosis. So for example, the current 2-year waitlist at CHIO to diagnose can be reduced to under a few weeks. Early diagnosis ensures timely and accurate intervention. And lastly, we can also help increase drug effectiveness. DOT has been built by a team of experienced neuroscientists, medical researchers, as well as engineers. I'm an electrical engineer from McGill University, and my partner, Dr. Rashida Chaudhary, is a PhD neuroscientist. We have doctors, neuroscientists on board both locally and in the international market. We have strategically aligned ourselves with advisors in expertise with regulatory, healthcare networks, as well as business. Our most recent addition are Dr. Albert Chu, who's a pediatric neurosurgeon at CHIO, and also our clinical champion at the hospital, facilitating our validation study, and Dr. Brian Whitestone, who's a surgeon and expert in commercialization strategies for medtech companies. Coming to our commercialization journey, we focus on 2 critical stages: the limited market release and the full commercial launch. Over the past several years, we've been laying down the groundwork with our pre-marketing activities, engaging key opinion leaders, undergoing preclinical studies, and launching overseas to collect data. We're now in our limited market release phase, transitioning from prototype to real world. And for this, we have identified the pilot sites listed below. And we have already started with the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. Our focus is on gaining real-world insights, as well as showing the value to these healthcare systems. Looking ahead, our LMR stage will evolve into a full commercial launch. And it's here that our product would reach a broader audience backed by extensive marketing strategies. We have completed quite a few milestones in our roadmap. In phase 1 and 2, we laid down the foundational work where we focused on initial user testing, conducted customer surveys to assess the viability of our product, and knowing that there's an unmet need and demand for a product like ours, we began bootstrapping in phase 2 to create our our hardware prototype and began our preclinical studies. And in phase 3 of collecting real-world data, we launched our product overseas, which resulted in a fully functional diagnostic platform called Neuron. We are now in the limited market release phase with select hospitals here in Canada, starting with CHIO. We're also developing our IP strategy, which consists of both publishing and patenting our technology, and we will be filing for design patents for the hardware alongside patenting our diagnostic software. We are in early discussions with a few IP attorneys, such as Shin from Vantech and Natalie with Brion, to solidify our IP strategy. And I do want to mention that at the end of phase 3, we will be revenue generating. As we move forward, we're looking towards phase 4. This phase will focus on obtaining regulatory approvals and safety certifications. Aligning our regulatory strategy with our clinical trials today is crucial for obtaining these approvals. In phase 5, strategy is king to gain market access. We've already started speaking with few US payers for reimbursement, and we will begin revving up for a full-scale commercial launch by the end of 2026. And we are looking for strategic advisors to help us on this journey. In 2027, once we have hospitals and clinics on board using our diagnostic platform for the condition of ADHD, in phase 6, we will release an at-home patient version of our product for therapy. This is where we will transition from 3D printing our headsets and assembling them in-house to injection molding for mass production. And I do want to point out that up until this point, this venture has primarily been funded through non-dilutive means, such as awards, grants, bootstrapping, and personal investment. And while I am very proud of the progress we've made so far, I also recognize the need for additional investment to realize our future plans and execute without delays, and to make a tangible difference in the mental health space, which is much needed today. For our pricing, we've opted for a software as a service subscription model. This subscription is currently priced at $500 monthly. And our pricing strategy involves bundling the hardware with the subscription to the platform. The pricing will be tested during our limited market release phase. The price point for our full launch is currently set to $1,000, and other customer segments is what we're currently determining. We are working with experts at Number Crunch to help refine this. And it is worth noting that conventional EEG diagnostic systems cost upwards of $50,000. Our projections indicate that by the end of 2027, we will reach sales revenue of $4.5 million that significantly outweigh our costs, suggesting a profitable and sustainable business model. We have taken into account the time it takes to complete clinical validation, get regulatory approval, as well as certify our hardware device to serve healthcare. Unfortunately, the most common and affordable solutions out there are the least effective. The status quo of diagnosing mental health conditions through multiple questionnaires is at the bottom of this list. We're tapping into an unserved market of providing an effective low-cost solution. Over the past several years, we've received close to $500,000 through bootstrapping, awards, and grants. And today, we are here seeking a pre-seed investment of $500K. A portion of these funds will be used to patent our technology, which is critical in securing our competitive advantage prior to any research publications. Significant portion will also be invested in R&D, which includes conducting these clinical trials with CHIO, as well as establishing data security, which is crucial in this industry. We will be hiring a regulatory consultant who will help developing our regulatory strategy, align it with our clinical data collection processes, and obtain approvals. With this investment, we're set to hit key milestones up until 2026 that are listed here, which includes aligning our regulatory, securing our IP, completing our limited market release with 4 hospitals here in Canada. We will be revenue generating by the end of 2024 and plan to initiate a $1.5 million seed round in 2026 for a full-scale launch. Zooming out again, I want to mention that Neuron's ability for diagnosing ADHD is just the tip of the iceberg. It applies across all mental health conditions, and we will become the pioneers of data-driven approach to mental health. And together, we will not just be changing lives, we'll be saving them. My name is Yishel Khan, and I'm the founder of DOT. Thank you.
Fantastic job. Great timing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Yishel.
Great
Julia?
job. Yeah, sure. Great job, Yishel. Yishel, I just want to confirm your 500K raise is with the convertible note, SheBoots convertible note, and a cap of 2.5?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. And we have some questions for you from Eva. Where are you testing your gamification therapy? Is that a new product or is there a prototype?
So when we alpha launch our product overseas, let me just go back to that slide, we tested on 300 individuals with the diagnostic prototype itself. And with regards to the therapy option, 50 of these patients underwent therapy on our platform. So not all 300, but 50. We did have the we did have the gamified therapy with neurofeedback, the elementary version ready, and that is what we tested on. It is a product that needs further refinement. It is a game that needs to be retested and redeveloped. But right now, with our limited market release launch in Canada, our primary goal is to be a diagnostic product, just focus on the diagnosis. And then in 2027 is when we switch sides and start looking into releasing our therapy version for take-home therapy for patients.
I might answer the next question. So from a regulatory approval standpoint in Canada, US, and Europe, do you need anything from a regulatory standpoint to diagnose a direct-to-consumer model?
So when we go for a direct-to-consumer model, we're still not going to be making the diagnosis. The diagnosis is coming from the hospitals and clinics, which is why it's essential for us to have the hospitals and clinics on board who would then be recommending our product for therapy to their patients. So for example, there is a game, there's a product that already exists. It's called Akili Labs in the US, which does not have a hardware component. It's just a game that is officially prescribed for ADHD. It's a game that children play to improve their condition of ADHD. Since they already have FDA approval, for us to follow in their tracks and get that FDA approval to be prescribed as a game for therapy is going to be much easier for us. So we would need FDA approval to be even just a game for therapy, but it's in our pipeline.
Okay. Thank you. And moving on to the pricing strategy, how does your pricing affect the number of patients it can diagnose through the clinics? Is that a factor when you're doing the B2B?
So that's something we're still looking into right now. For a limited market release phase, we are giving them the product with no limitations on how many patients it can treat. However, when we go to our full commercial launch, we will have a tiered patient profile. So we're going to be charging per headset. They can register, for example, up to 10 patients, and for additional patients, they'd have to essentially pay a little bit more.
Okay. And how does this pricing model affect long-term treatment of the patients using your technology? And can they transfer that to a B2C model later on, I guess, in the longer term?
We will have two versions of the product. One is for clinical use, that's going to be in clinic, that is more sophisticated. And for the patient use, we're going to directly sell another version of the headset to them, which is going to be less sophisticated, used only for therapy per patient.
Okay. Will this subscription be reimbursable by insurance? Is that the plan?
For the US market, yes, it is. For the Canadian market, it's something we still need to look into.
Yeah. And do you expect the B2C model to be that expensive then, at the $500 a month or $1,000 per month?
No, so for the B2C model, we're considering a direct sale of the headset itself, and then they get one specific game with it, and they can pay on for extra gamified therapy versions. But it's going to be at a much lower price point than the commercial model for hospitals.
Okay. My understanding is that most diagnoses for ADHD happen in a therapy setting or in school testing. How will hospitals become the go-to for diagnosis, or do you envision selling this to school boards and therapist office as well?
So right now for children, the primary point of diagnosis is usually their pediatrician or their family physician. Some family physicians and pediatricians have the ability to make the diagnosis, while others, so the only time a patient truly gets referred to a psychologist or a psychiatrist is two reasons. It's either A, your pediatrician or family physician is uncomfortable making that diagnosis, or B, it's because the parent disagrees with the diagnosis and wants to see a specialist. So which is why our primary target is looking at pediatricians and family physicians who are making diagnoses using questionnaires. Our secondary model would be to be in therapist offices, and then later down the line, we will consider looking at school boards as well. But right now, the diagnosis of ADHD, while it stems from a teacher at a school who gives feedback to a parent, the actual diagnosis and the prescription of medication is happening at the family physician or the pediatrician's office.
And will they need any special training, this pediatrician?
In terms of
using your tool?
Yes and no. Initially, when we're launching with them, we are going to be closely working with them. We're just launching, saying we're comparing your questionnaire to our headset for diagnostic criteria. Down the line, the goal is to give all of the vitals and information to them on the platform itself, so that they can see it and they're able to. So there would be a little bit of training required with regards to just using the headset, putting the headset on, how to utilize the software. But for the initial version where we're not making diagnosis and just showing the results to the pediatrician, it's very minimal training.
Okay, great. Thank you. One more question. Outside of Canada and US, what are your target markets?
Right now, we are focusing on the Canadian, and the US market is the biggest market with respect to children with ADHD. So that is our go-to market. That is the market that we want to launch in. And our plans are for 2027 and 2028 to be present in the US more specifically. Simply put, because it's easier to incentivize physicians and pediatricians to use our product as well, because they get directly paid for using our product through their payers. In terms of other markets, we're open to exploring other markets as well. We do have an R&D center overseas in Pakistan where we did our initial testing. So that is going to be continually present so that we can down the line delve into other mental health conditions, not just ADHD, start looking at autism and other conditions as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Yishel. And I'm going to leave it there. Deb, I'm just going to be sensitive to time and stay on time. Okay. And thank you. Great job as usual. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. And just